Hello everybody, my name is Michael. Today we're going to be looking at the political iceberg. Now, I'm going to try and keep this short because this might be a long video, but basically there's been a lot of iceberg videos on YouTube recently, from video games to rare, obscure topics. And the original one was the Mario 64 iceberg on YouTube, and so shout out to that guy. And yeah, basically this is just the same iceberg but with political topics. All the topics I might not know the most about, and I don't claim to know that much about it. I just try to do simple research. But there are some that I cut just due to like the fact that they're just kind of like irrelevant, or just kind of like non-purposable, like just kind of weird. But sorry if you're offended. I'll put the final image at the very end if anyone wants to look at it, or even make a video about it themselves to do, the video better or whatever. Thank you, and let's get right into the video. New media is fake. This is in regards to a lot of modern media being fake. A study actually shows that for every true piece of media, there's about 6 fake ones, and fake news is mainly spread by different forms of media and different forms of ignorance. So it's a very common thing, and we always hear that term getting thrown around nowadays. War is used to spread democracy. America will usually go invest in lesser countries and try and make that country democratic, like Iraq, Vietnam, Cambodia, El Salvador, a lot of those different places. I've been impacted by the U.S. trying to spread their idea of freedom while only bringing, war, death, and corruption and destruction to many countries around the world. So basically having a good reason, but, messing up and doing bad things in the process. Politicians only lie sometimes. The idea that the mainstream idea of politicians rarely ever lie or make false promises, but in fact that is not the case, because politicians constantly lie and constantly make false promises. So, what's deep state? I think this is mocking people who don't know what deep state is, and I think we're gonna get to that in level 3, but if it's something else, then I'm sorry. The government is a moral entity. This one talks about the impact that Jesus Christ's death had on our current day government, and how religion still plays a part in our government even today, even though, we're trying to lean more to not have that. It's not my opinion, it's just what I feel like what is happening. Iraq war for oil. The United States is now occupying many parts of the Middle East with our troops, saying to people that we're trying to bring security and democracy. While the military industry complex works for big oil companies behind closed doors to crack open the oil reserves of the Middle East to boost America's oil and car economy in our, home country. Iran-Contra affair. Ronald Reagan and different branches of the government were secretly trading arms and missiles to terrorists in order to save hostages in Libya. I don't think I said that right whatsoever, but I mean the last word, so sorry. Obama scandals. All the scandals that Obama's media team tried to cover up, like his scandals with the IRS and Obamacare. Basically, Obama did a lot that a lot of people seem not to know about, and I think recently, the ones that started getting memed about was Obama doing drone strikes. Area 51. This one's pretty basic, just everything inside Area 51 that's not known to the public, and of course the raid that was going to happen at Area 51. 7 nations that the US will attack. These places are constantly attacked by the United States, and they include Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, I have no idea how to say that, I'm sorry. Liberia, Sudan, Sudan, and Iran. I definitely said some of those wrong, but I'm sorry. U.S. funded Mujin. Not even an attempt that word. The U.S. supplied weapons to Afghanistan terrorists to overthrow their government. Basically to try and also bring down the government to also probably spread democracy. It's crazy, really. All the theories and conspiracies on what happened that fateful day of September 11th. Yeah, these range from many different theories, and you can make a whole video talking about all of these. The deep state is a conspiracy theory which suggests that there's inner workings going on within the U.S. government that we do not see. A hidden government within the legitimate elected government. So basically, kind of like the Illuminati. Clinton murders. These are theories that Hillary and Bill Clinton have organized murders against those who may know too much. A common example of this would be Jeffrey Epstein. U.S. and allies funding ISIS. ISIS was funded for years by wealthy donors in Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. 3 U.S. allies that had dual agendas. The U.S. knew about this as well and just didn't intervene until it seemed necessary. MacArthur was right. This is talking about how the idea that communism is still mainstream today and still an American government in form of democracy, which is one of the later points actually, but that they don't want you to know this and that real communists are hiding within America today. I'm just going to come out and say that I don't think that one's true, but maybe it is, who knows. UFO cover-ups. Basically, the government trying to cover up proof that aliens exist to try and keep the peace. There's been a lot of sightings and a lot of evidence, and I think recently they did say that one was an alien ship, and then no one cared. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Don't believe me on that. Petrodollars are U.S. dollars paid to an oil exporting country for the sale of the commodity. Put simply, the petrodollar system is an exchange for oil for the U.S. dollars between countries that buy oil and those that produce it. MLK is a commie. The idea that MLK might have secretly been a communist, King was widely revered in his lifetime, attacked as a troublemaker, a liar, and a con man, and even a communist. Martin Luther King called communism one of the most important issues of our day, but some people just think his beliefs were very communist. So, Sandy Hook was actually a faked event. A group called the Sandy Hook Truther Movement has emerged to claim that the school shooting was all staged. Many Americans are incredibly outraged and, dumbfounded that anyone could believe this. The Sandy Hook school shootings do follow, classic conspiracy thoughts, as do any large, crazy event like this. Cloward Piven strategy. Now, the Cloward Piven strategy is actually a little crazy idea, but it's basically the idea that communists would want to collapse the U.S. welfare system to try and have it kind of restart itself, to then spread the idea of communism within the United States, because they'll be in a crisis where they might need communism instead of normal welfare system or the normal democratic system. Yeah, sorry, this audio might sound a little different. I fucked up with the first recording. UN Agenda 21/2030. The agenda is a commitment to eradicate poverty and achieve sustainable development by 2030 worldwide, ensuring that no one is left behind. This is one of those things where it's like, by this time we're going to cut, homeless people in half or whatever. Basically, they just want to make the world better, which isn't that bad of an idea, but that's 10 years from now, so I highly doubt that. Government immoral entity. I couldn't find much on this, however. I think it does have to relate with the earlier thing, which was the government moral entity, which had to do with Jesus Christ. I'm guessing this could mean a religious thing where they do not take, or they're trying to not involve themselves with religion anymore, or that simply that the government makes immoral actions and decisions. LEO trainings before mass shootings. That active shooters or shooters from the past have had law enforcement training, and they know what's going to go down. a shooter could actively go take this training, learn about it, and then go and use what he's learned while doing a shooting. DOD IC infighting. I don't know too much about this either because there's not a lot of information. Probably why it's near the middle part, but it's basically the Department of Defense and the United States intelligence community fighting with each other, and that's all I could really find. Yeah, sorry. CIA murders ruled a suicide. Frank Osland spilled the beans on a classified government program called MK Ultra. Theories are that the CIA indeed threw him to his death, and when he was on the run, news said he jumped out the window. A lot of the other deaths have been deemed suicides, but have, could be seen as cover-ups from the government, the CIA, the FBI, or whatever you're into. Rockefeller. Wealthy families who are secretly handling much of corporate America, in ties with politicians and most likely the mafia. Operation Northwoods. The U.S. was seeking justification to invade and insulate military action in Cuba. An example of this would be like if someone blew up a ship, they would blame it on Cuba, so it would get the American people to rally behind them to go to Cuba. This also seems like it might have to do with Vietnam, which no one wanted us in Vietnam, so we ended up kind of losing that war. JFK. I'm assuming this is just talking about all the theories and conspiracies on what happened that day he was murdered. I've also heard that he has a connection to Abraham Lincoln, but that's, again, another video for another day. The Hoon Plan. The Hoon Plan is or was to execute or imprison all leaders of the Nazi Party and to permanently exile all professional army officers. Jewish 9/11 connection. These theories, manifested from centuries-old allegations that Jews manipulate and control world events for their own benefit and beliefs. They bring the protocols of elders of Zion into the 21st century, updating a familiar theme that Jews are inherently evil and have a master plan to rule the world. What makes 9/11 conspiracies particularly important or more relevant is that there's a lot of people who are actually just Jew haters, like American far-right extremists, white supremacists, and even a mix of Arab and Muslim people, who are exchanging and echoing information, ideas, and conspiracy theories to try and just give a bad name to the Jewish people. They usually do this through the internet. False flags. A false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising an actual source of responsibility and pinning the blame on a second party. The term is popular amongst conspiracy theory nuts and referring to multiple events. You can say this. So, like the CIA alleged suicide thing, could be a false flag. The Holocaust is a hoax. Basically, the idea that the Holocaust, just if it happened, it was done in a lesser form, or that the event never actually happened and it was all staged. A lot of people will even bring up the meme, it happened, but there is no way that that death count is real. Democracy is soft communism. It's like I said earlier, the idea and fear of communism has led some to believe that democracy is just a lesser form of communism. Balfour Declaration. Basically, during this time, they were putting Jewish people in a national home or one place, which is, again, weirdly, there's so much Jewish conspiracies on this list. That's kind of weird. I didn't make the list. Jewish media and / control. Man, this is like what I said. Basically, the idea that, like I said previously, that Jewish people are connected to somewhat to major events in history. And it seems like this list is going over multiple topics because it seems like a lot of people are anti-Semitic, talking about how they control the world, they control big events like 9/11 or even the Holocaust, where it just didn't happen. And trying to connect them to everything because they are secretly evil, which I just, I don't agree with. I'm just stating the facts. MK Ultra. The CIA ran interrogation experiments giving the subjects hallucinogenic drugs like LSD. Some of the experiments were illegal and everything was classified for a long time. The man, Frank Olson, who spoke about the topic, was found dead on a pavement with the officials claiming he committed suicide, as we talked about earlier. Child sacrifices. Accusations held against the Pope and other elitists and leaders that they use women and children for sex and other disgusting acts. Once they do that, they will sacrifice them. Even some of the things allegedly happen, or one of the acts include letting dogs rape the girls, which is absolutely disgusting. Basically, if this theory or conspiracy is correct, higher up officials are kidnapping women, children, and just basically torturing them in a sexual way. Project Bluebeam. Theories that NASA is working with the government to establish a technologically simulated new world. Wouldn't that be crazy? Bohemian Grove. I think it's Bohemian actually, but a secretive campground where rich Republicans and high-interest wealthy folk gather at night and hold a sort of religious ceremony wearing masks and gowns. Bohemian Grove also talks about and involves many elitists and upper musicians, politicians, just people of power who are men who visit Bohemian Grove, do very probably shady things. A lot of this also sounds like, something that would be associated with the Illuminati. Satanic rituals. The thought and fear that people are still doing satanic rituals, and this extends to the government and everyday people. Greater Israel Plan. The idea that, Israel has some kind of bigger plan for the world or for their people or their borders. This is also expression with several different biblical meanings and political meanings that have been used, throughout time, but it is often used in an inherent fashion to refer to historic or desired borders of Israel to extend them. If this is true, it's basically like they're planning, kind of like world domination, but in a less extreme way. They just want to spread their beliefs and have as much land as they possibly can, like pretty much every other place in the world. But they just have a name for it. Bilderberg. The Bilderberg meeting is an annual conference established in 1954 to foster dialogue between Europe and North America. The group's agenda, originally to prevent another world war, is now defined as bolstering a consensus around the free market, Western capitalism, and interest around the globe. If something is seen as treacherous or cause for concern, then they might have to step in and intervene. Thank you. This video is going to be long and there's been a lot of mess ups, so I apologize because I don't like reading stuff like this. Not like the political stuff, but like stuff that I have to read aloud or whatever. Like I always feel like I read it really unnaturally and stuff. Basically, thank you guys for watching. This video is going to be really long, but if you did watch the whole thing, thank you. Consider subscribing, and yeah, thank you all again, and I'll see you guys later.